Hi, I'm Erin. Welcome to the Downriver Council for the Arts. This series is all about celebrating the incredible events, programs, and people connected with the DCA here in Southeast Michigan. From gallery openings to community workshops, performances, and special events, we'll take you behind the scenes to see how art is inspiring and connecting our community. Let's get started.
I'm not exactly sure what kicked everything off for me, but for as long as I can remember, I've been drawing with just the usual little kid stuff, crayons, colored pencils, and coloring books. And over time, I just always got those art kits that had oil pastels and little paints, and I just kind of grew to expand all my media and try new things, and that's kind of how poetry started for me. I've been at the Downriver Council for the Arts since I was little. I was doing any art camps I was eligible for with my age, and that's also where I kind of get my mixed media from, because I would do clay classes, painting, drawing, anything I could get my hands on. And so coming back this summer as an intern, it has kind of always been a part of me, and it's shaped and given me feedback very early on about my art that I still kind of hear myself tell myself when working. And yeah, even now it's still the same sort of critiques I'm giving myself that I learned here when I was young, and just coming back has brought it all to the forefront again, and I've been able to kind of give back to the DCA from what they have given to me. Overall, I think that in modern day, the accessibility of art is something that's kind of in question, and I kind of would like to put it out there that art is accessible for all, and that art doesn't have to be good, because good is subjective, in order for one to create. And so I think everyone should create and be creative as much as they can.
The Downriver Council for the Arts provides artists a unique retail space to sell one-of-a-kind handmade items. The gift shop at the Arts Center is open year-round during normal hours and special events. If you're looking for that special gift, consider giving art.
Somewhere on a mountaintop, a cowboy rides alone. What music does for me is it really allows me to express my feelings, express my experiences in words and in music format. So if I am thinking about, for example, a childhood memory, and I think that there's something of value there that I'd like to share, music allows me to turn that into an expression of that experience from my childhood. The same goes for anything in as far as looking at the sun, feeling the wind, taking a hike in the mountains. All of those things are ways of putting into words that just about anyone can relate to, or at least through the words and the music, feel exactly what the experience is like. To ride with this old cowboy, to settle up, throw 'em down. I think the thing that made me pursue music was my upbringing. I started out in the church choir and joined along in singing many of the old gospel hymns, and really enjoyed that to the point where I knew I could sing and have a real strong musical future. So that really led me to explore how much I like different kinds of music. I was also part of a very musical family. I had brothers and sister who all were musical. Every one of them played an instrument, and every one of them sang. So it kind of was in my blood to pursue some sort of musical future. And then when my brothers began singing in bands, I wanted to be part of that. And so when I was in my 30s, I decided that I wanted to learn how to play the guitar, which I did and I took up, and really that drove my desire even more to be a singer, but more than that, a songwriter. And following in the footsteps of one of my brothers, who is a very accomplished songwriter, written thousands of songs, I started dabbling in that. And so that has become one of my passions.
I soared like an eagle to the heavens above.
If someone were to ask me, how do I get into music, or tell me about what you do and how could I do that as well, I would tell them to first try to see if there is a passion inside of you, number one. A passion for music. Do you like music just to listen to, or do you like when music speaks to you? So if you like music that speaks to you, more than likely you're in tune with listening to the lyrics, really comprehending what the songwriter was trying to say in the lyrics. And so through my music, I would say take a look at what in your life is valuable to you, whether it's love, family, pain, celebration. There's so many things to put into music. So if someone said, again, how do I start writing songs? Well, I'd say just start writing songs. Think of it as a poem. Write a poem, start there. And if you wanted to put it to music, and whether you play an instrument or don't play an instrument, it will lead to the person's ability to actually write a melody to the lyrics. And it's not an easy process, but it is a rewarding process when you produce something that has that is something that you wrote. It came from your heart and your soul, and you're able to share it with the world.
I feel the sunshine drinking it.
Hi everyone, this is Michael Belcom.
And this is Brian Webb.
And we are
Be Well My Friends. Make sure to check us out at bewellmyfriends.org, or you can find us at Facebook at Be Well My Friends.
That's right. Our mission is to create and host unique fundraisers with the proceeds going to the people, organizations, and charities of Downriver. And many ones that we do are the Oddfellow Concert Lounge. We do the Wyandotte Zombie Pub Crawl, the Kids Candy Crawl, the Acoustic Crawl. We do DJing. We do the Taylor Sportsplex. If you have an event coming up and you would like to hire Be Well My Friends, all the money that we raise goes back into the nonprofit and goes back out into the community. So Mike and I, we don't take a cent from that. We
Not
just
a penny.
volunteer our time.
So check us out, volunteer, and be well, my friends.
Be part of the change.
As a kid, and most artists I think could probably relate to this. As a kid, I liked to create. I liked making movies. I liked drawing. I liked, painting. Just creating crafts. But I really liked when I got the praise from my parents. I did things and I liked hearing my parents say, "Oh, Timmy, that's so nice. That's a nice project you did." And I got a lot of gratification from that. And I think that really, even though I wasn't necessarily doing fine art or art per se, or even painting, it was probably, at that point I was probably just making movies and maybe making costumes for Halloween and you know, just little things for school drawings, or, you know, I was just a kid. But that really is the thing that ignited the fire in my heart to do it. I think that I knew that people would view my creations and get something out of it, feel something from it, and appreciate that it was done. I could never pinpoint an instant, but I think that was the dynamic that was occurring when I got into art. So I started probably with pencil, graphite, charcoal as a kid, and as I got older I spread out into more mediums, tested more mediums, tried more mediums. I've oil painted, I've done acrylic painting, I've done pastels, I've done chalk, done pulled sticks out of campfires when we were camping and used the stick to draw with. I've sculpted, I've done digital art. I dive into anything that I can be creative with. It just satisfies my soul to be creating all the time. Acrylic painting, though, is really where I've settled and I do most of my work. Acrylic painting isn't as rich as oil painting, but it dries faster, and I've learned to control it in a way that I can get some decent colors. Probably the second medium I use the most would be digital. I digital paint using Procreate and Adobe Fresco. If you've never done digital art, you'd be surprised at how similar it is to painting with oil or acrylic. It's very similar. If you know how to do either acrylic or oil, you would be probably a fish in water when it comes to digital. And it's expedient and it's fun. So acrylic painting and digital is probably the two main mediums I use the most anymore. So my process for doing art is probably similar to everybody else's. I research, pull in some resources, some reference images, and I use those to do my paintings. I never, it's very infrequent that I dive into a piece knowing exactly what I want. I have learned to trust my instinct, and that my subconscious is going to kind of steer me in the direction I want to go in. Often I may pull some reference for, say, a cantaloupe, and my end result is a painting of an elephant. So there's a discovery there that as I'm pulling resources together, composing the picture, coming up with a concept, items drop away, items find themselves coming into the picture. I've always been drawn to surreal imagery because conceptually you can say a lot and not be restricted to the natural world. What most people think of is what you see in nature or what you see on any given day.
Hey there, I'm Ian.
And I'm Gloria.
We are the owners and operators of Gawk Printing, and we are artists printing for artists.
Gawk Printing is a partner to artists of all shapes and sizes. We know firsthand how hard it is to sell your work to a larger audience.
Whether you're ordering prints for the first time or you're a seasoned art veteran, we're here to help meet your needs.
Our experience as creators backs our knowledge when being trusted to take care of reproducing your work. We pride ourselves on our quality assurance.
We offer giclée quality printing, commercial goods like flyers and posters, and are gearing up to create bound goods like zines, books, and comics.
Our mission is to spread artwork to everyone without the constraints of high volume orders or academic prices. We believe creativity, quality, and collaboration is for every community.
We'd love to start a conversation with you. You can find us at gawkprinting.com or on Instagram at gawkprinting. And remember, art is good for you.
I do art journals. I put the books together, I put the pages in them. I usually draw most of the things that are in the pages. The reason I do that is because to me you can take art journaling anywhere. All you need is a bunch of paper, a magazine, an old book, a dictionary, whatever you can find, that a cereal box. Whatever you find, you can make a journal out of. On days that I'm sad, I might make a little sadder journal picture, but on 99% of the time, there are things that make me happy and things that I think will make my friends happy once I give them a journal.
Well, the Paul Tregurtha is the largest freighter bulk carrier on the Great Lakes. It's 1,013 feet. There are other 1,000-footers running around the Great Lakes, but this is the largest. I had the pleasure and joy of spending 6 days on it back in 2013, and through some friends who finagled me a ride, we were able to get on the ship. They don't call them ships, they call them boats in the Great Lakes, but we got on at the St. Clair Power Plant, DT Energy, because I worked at Detroit Edison DT Energy for 50 years. And they were able to get me on board. And back in the wheelhouse here is up at the top. The windows here, we had it was like an apartment. There were 4 staterooms and a beautiful salon, they call it. And a television, big huge TV, and beautiful furniture, lazy boy chairs. You could look out the front windows here and see the 900 or so feet out in front of you as you're cruising across Lake Superior. We went from St. Clair Power Plant up St. Clair River into Lake Huron up into the St. Mary's River, and through the locks. The first time we went through the locks was at 4 o'clock in the morning after a thunderstorm, and it was amazing. And so we got that set up and got into Lake Superior, sailed all the way across Lake Superior.
This is a watercolor painting, a portrait of a musician, Tom. He came and serenaded one of my art classes on Thursday evenings. A few times it was so soothing to have live music while we painted, and it was very inspiring. So I asked Tom if I could do his portrait, and he agreed. And so we did it pretty quick, and it was right here in this gallery. There were other paintings on the wall, and so I've included those to just give some ambiance to the place where it all happened.
You know, I knew she was working on it. I seen it when she first started it. And then the other day, about 2 days ago, I think it was, she sent me a picture of it. I seen it on the phone. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then today I finally got to see it in person. And it's like, oh, it's even better in person. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you for your music, and I want you to have it.
Oh, well, thank you.
As a gift from me to you, and thank you so much for the serenade.
This painting is quite a departure from my normal work. I normally work very intricate and very tight and very close. And this past fall, I was inspired by fall colors. And I had this big frame sitting around, and I decided to just go out and get some canvas and just have fun making an imaginary landscape. So this is kind of my happy fall place. And of course the mountains and the sky. But then I did these dancing trees, and I just thought they'd be whimsical and fun and just something totally out of imagination, nothing really in reality at all.
So I made this piece a few months ago, and it's one of the pieces that I just created a sketch and then I created it in real life. Now when I'm working on art, in this case I had a very purposeful intention of what I wanted to capture, and I wanted to capture two figures, one ripping out the heart of another. And I don't mean that in like a gruesome sense, I mean that in a metaphorical sense. Sometimes I feel like I'm ripping my own heart out, and I wanted to talk about that and expression and being yourself and stuff like that. I've always had trouble figuring out what was being true to myself. And I'm having really visceral reactions when I'm creating artwork like this because it's so hands-on. I'm crafting the clay after my sketch. Let me just walk you through the process of creating this and why I intended it to look like this way. So, for one, I took photographs of me in a few different poses, and then I took those photographs and I made a sketch, because whenever I'm creating 3D work, I don't like to work off of a photograph. I like to work off of a sketch. And sometimes there's things you can't capture with a photo that you can with your own mind and just a pencil.
This painting is called Two of Us, and it is inspired by the music of Lennon-McCartney, and it's sort of exploring some autobiographical stuff and interpersonal relationships through the lens of the music. So obviously I've represented John Lennon as a walrus here in reference to the Beatles song I Am the Walrus off of Magical Mystery Tour, and then the ram represents Paul McCartney in reference to his first solo album after the band split up, Ram. And the composition of the background as well as the lighting and accessories come from the music video for Strawberry Fields Forever. And this piece was part of an installation of 9 paintings I did for the BFA exhibition at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And there was sort of a theme running through the pieces in that show of soulmates. So this is kind of a piece about platonic soulmates, but also doomed relationships that can't really last. So the painting is meant to be deliberately disorienting and have no correct orientation for which it is to be hung or viewed. When I was painting it, I would repeatedly flip it so different ends would be facing up, and I didn't really decide until the final installation of it which way I was going to show the piece. And that disorienting effect is meant to mimic kind of a dreamlike state. And dreams in the unconscious are something I am very interested in and tend to explore a lot.
This is my painting entitled Dry Socket. I did this last winter, and it was when I had just gotten my wisdom teeth out and I had just gotten a really rough haircut. And so I just kind of really wanted to channel the oh my gosh that I was feeling, and turned out to be this. I just gotten some new paints, so it all just kind of came together, and all spurred by my face being a bit swollen and my jaw being a bit in pain.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for hanging out with me and exploring what's happening at the Downriver Council for the Arts.